The homework of the heart. At the end of life, the only thing that matters is love. We we reflect back on how that went well or did not. Right? The love we fail to give in life becomes the pain that we carry through it. And I've sat with countless patients and people who look back on the unfinished love stories and the broken bits and relationships. And they try to be compassionate and forgive all that and let it go. But, we all mess that story up a bit here and there, sometimes repeatedly. An advanced care plan is a beautiful way to love those who care for you, to guide them. You are the teacher, you are the shaman, you are the mentor in this enterprise, and you are teaching them how to live and die well, how to communicate about the deepest things, which are actually very simple things, but they're not easy things. They open up that conversation of, what do you mean to me, and who am I to you? I'm so astonished when conversations around advanced care planning can encapsulate the four most important things you could ever say at the end of your life. Thank you, I love you, I forgive you, and goodbye. When those are said well, one dies heart whole, right? And not only loving others, but we astonishingly become love itself. And that is the spiritual enterprise. That's the ultimate spiritual victory, to become love, because God is love. And this is independent of any specific religious tradition. Any healthy spirituality is going to point in that direction. It's ironic because I can only be love when I am also vulnerable and broken, because then I can know to the bone the brokenness of humanity, right? Which brings us back to the crisis happening in the States and the racial tensions and the strife throughout the world. Only when I know suffering and brokenness can I be truly compassionate to those who suffer. This is all intertwined as the homework of the heart. At the end of life, it's not what you take with. Well, it is kind of what you take with you, but the only thing that you take with you to heaven, how do I say? I like to say, your relationships are the only clothing you wear to heaven. So advanced care planning is not just about those details logistically about the end of life. It's about the relationships and how to leave this world a little softer and kinder to yourself and to the strange journey that you've traveled.
Mm. So you bring something that segues into the next kind of section that I wanted to talk to you about was around mental health, and I don't know, there's something to me that's a little bit strange about the term mental health, and that I like to think about it as having a healthy conscious mind as part of mental health, right? So that being conscious is really about being aware and cognizant of recognizing that something within or outside of oneself is realized, and it's about an extreme sometimes weariness of our own environs, but being aware of what's happening, and it can look much different to different people. But the mind is really about the set of thinking, including, your cognitive aspects as consciousness, but imagination and perception. It's how we perceive these things and we process them. And that to me is having a good, healthy, conscious mind is equivalent or equates good, positive mental health hygiene, if you will. And I think I can't but help feel that many people are struggling with that right now, not only because of the qualms of a pandemic, but also because of the struggles, the many struggles that people face. And I wondered if you think of the conscious mind involving all the things that you're currently aware of and thinking about, and how do we try to preserve and protect that somewhat when we're dealing with all these outside influences? And we may have our own beliefs internally, but it's all these external things that are happening, and can have a bit of a grave impact. And then I kind of tie it back to advanced care planning, and that's something that you can control, or you can have some say in, and ensuring that, so if something were to happen to you, and it can reduce some of the anxiety and the fears that might inhibit us from having a healthy conscious mind. And I wondered if you could speak to that maybe a
Yeah,
little bit.
boy,
Or
Laurel, as you bring up mental health issues, it awakens in me the ignorance, the inability I have to truly appreciate what so many people go through in our culture and society. I only know my own experience, right, from the inside, but I recognize that mental health issues are epidemic. And we talk about the COVID pandemic. That is amplifying the significant severe mental health disparities, in the extreme challenges people face. You cannot know someone else's journey. You can only walk beside them as best you can, right? And like my own cancer journey, I know mine. I don't know yours. I can relate a bit, but so when we're talking about mental health issues, loneliness, depression, anxiety, right? These are um, these tend to be worse in the most developed countries. And we have all this technology that we can connect, but people are aching for deep, real, authentic connection and community. So mental health is always tied to community. Nobody can maintain their mental health on their own for too long, unless we have other uh, people and personalities and to reflect and bounce off and engage with. Then we're left with the strange community of critical voices in our own mind, in our own head. Planning. Let's come back to advanced care planning. Taking the simple steps to support mental health and to plan well. Taking care of the body, listening to what it's telling you, exercise, not extreme, just exercise, eat well, sleep regularly, limit your intake of toxic media and screen times, but don't shut off the pain that people are going through throughout the world, right? It's one thing to watch the evening news and ache for those people gathered struggling for justice. It's another thing to stay up till 4 a.m. watching it. You've got to maintain your own resources so you can be of help to others, which again is back to the homework of the heart and advanced care planning, because that's maintaining your resources well, so that you can help others face that ultimate challenge and transformation. Everything is interconnected. Nothing is insignificant. We talk about the health of our culture, of our society, injustice, the limited access to palliative care, the poverty of our conversation around death and dying, our insatiable desire for more possessions as an existential comfort against oblivion or transformation, our rejection of traditional religious ideas because they have not spoken intelligently and adequately to our sense of place in the universe, let alone our life story, and the injury we absorb from others in authority. It's all connected to the homework of the heart. How do I love? How have I been loved? Is there a God of love out there? Is there a God of love in here? Right? How can I be an instrument of such peace and wisdom? We're going to need a lot of podcast conversations to explore all of this.
There's much work to be done. around the advanced care planning. And I say that with a jovial heart, and that, you know, it's important to me. Some people, I guess I'm going to turn to the national poll that we did in early 2019, the beginning of this initiative, and 80% of Canadians believe that it's really important, but only 1 in 5 have actually created a plan. And you know, if there's a silver lining that could come out of the unfortunate things that we're experiencing right now, would be that people are more aware, acutely aware of the importance of how it can actually help you as a patient one day, and not only yourself, but that those who you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
And to me, it's an unselfish thing to do is, you know, being I guess I'm coming from a place of my heart as the youngest of 8 children, and having lost both parents, and neither one of them had an advanced care plan. When my mom passed first, my dad passed second, so we had a better idea. My dad would always want to talk about what some of his wishes were. It were the children, us, who didn't want to dare go there because we couldn't bear the thought of what life would be like without him. But it's really, to me, it's an act of unselfishness or unselfish love, is to be able to provide that information. And it's really not that arduous to just start the conversation, but
And
it's so very important.
yeah, and for your own mental health, you're going to discover that when you do your advanced care plan, it's empowering. It addresses the anxiety about the ultimate. It puts handles on the chaos. It helps you drive your life, your hands on the wheel, all the way, right? And others are in the car with you, and you know, you want to make that road, that flight, whatever, that journey smooth. It's very empowering to close that binder up and know, yeah, I did it. I can put a big check by that box.
It provides such a sense of relief.
Yeah, and
Right.
when we address death, when we face death in this way, plain and simple, we are facing the ultimate existential tension and fear and dread, and we discover that, okay, I'm not that scared of it now. I'm becoming familiar, even comfortable talking about death or thinking about my own. Let's remember, in Canada, the majority of people, I believe the majority of people die in hospital, or a great percentage of them. And the majority of people who die comfortably. Good palliative care and good pain management, right? And don't be shy about the drugs. They're there to match your pain and make you comfortable. Death, when I speak with the dying, and I've been with hundreds and hundreds of people as they've died, so many have been surprised to discover that they can do it. Now, yeah, there are bumps, there are setbacks. It's never totally smooth, but good palliative care and good planning usually, like massive majority of the time, result in a smooth exit from this world.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see too. There's been quite a shift in the medical community over the years, that palliative care is becoming more accessible, and the quality of care that patients are receiving is improving. But I think we could do a much better job at it, and I think that some of that is lights being shed on that, particularly with the situations within our long-term care homes, which would be another discussion all on its own.
Yeah.
But we're doing some incredible work around that piece, with some of the resources that we're currently creating. And we're part of this project that I'm excited about, as well as home care toolkits for the community, for people who want to stay within their homes.